Hello everyone, Professor Lohit here. Today is lecture number 30 and the topic is ESWL, that is equivalent single wheel load, and this is going to be last topic of the module 3. So this equivalent single wheel load we call it as a dual wheel load assembly. In order to limit, why this is necessary? Let me first clear you that. So when you see this is the front side of any of the vehicle and this is the rear wheel. So front we have the one axle and it has a wheels. Okay, we usually most of the time we find the one wheel at the both the ends. Okay, so this we call a single axle with a two wheel assembly. In rear we find sometimes we have this is a single axle with the two wheel assembly, and here if we add one more wheel, single axle with dual wheel. So here you have the dual wheel and here you have a dual wheel. This setup we called as a dual wheel assembly. If you have one more axle, then two axle with dual wheel assembly. If I use more than a single wheel or more than two axles, then we call them as a multi axles. Clear? The front you always find most of the time you find only the two wheels. Okay, these are the setup. Now I am trying to explain you about only these two wheel setup that we call as a dual wheel load assembly. What's the necessity of adding the one more wheel here? Okay, or that makes you the difference. That concept is explained in a equivalent single wheel load assembly. So here, in order to limit the maximum load on a single wheel, the specified limit, and to carry the greater or much higher load, it is necessary to provide the dual wheel load assembly on a rear axle of a heavy road vehicles. So in that sense, the equivalent single wheel load of a dual wheel load assembly at a depth Z may be defined as the single wheel load replacement of a dual wheel load assembly, which will cause the same magnitude of vertical deflection or same value of compression stress at a depth Z. Thus, what do you call the equivalent single wheel load at the selected depth Z may determine the based on the either equivalent single wheel load or equivalent deflections or equivalent stress criteria. Suppose if this is a setup, now we have the two wheels now. This is what the figure shows that. Okay, where we have the spacing, S is nothing but the spacing between the center to center of the two wheels, as I mentioned as a S here, and the clear gap between the inner sides of the two wheels will be denoted as D. In order to simplify the analysis, the load, whatever the distribution is assumed that it's going to be happen at an angle 45 degree. Clear? Understood? And let whatever the A going to take the one value A. This A is supposed to be what? The radius of equivalent area contacted of the contact area of each wheel. So for example, this is the top surface of, if this is a wheel area, wheel का stress इधर से आ रहा है, मतलब around that whatever the area is going to be acquired, that we take it as a A. That A is nothing but what? The radius of equivalent circular contact area of each wheel. Clear? So here, suppose a dual wheel load assembly causes a certain value of maximum deflection, that is delta, at a particular depth Z, as per the deflection criteria of equivalent single wheel load, is the single wheel load have the same contact pressure P, which produces the same maximum deflection delta at depth Z. Hope you understood now. So if the single wheel load producing the deflection delta at the depth of z, z might be any depth, okay, and same it is produced by the dual wheel load or equivalent single wheel load at the same delta, then we say that both are producing the same deflection at the same particular depth. So here what happened, up to the depth, that is depth d by 2, depth is always expressed in a z here. So if when the z is d by 2, the each wheel load P acts independently on the wheels, okay, at the depth d by 2. So up to that d by 2, the whatever the load coming from the both the vehicles, they act as independently. So this how you mark the d by 2, when there is a some overlap between the two. This is the stresses generated by this wheel, and this is the stress generated by this other wheel. We show it in a truncated cone. So where the first they interact there up to the d by 2, the whatever the load coming from the both the wheels, they act as independently up to the depth d by 2. Then the compressive stress with the pavement due to each load begin to overlap. At the depth when the z is 2s and above, the overlapped area of the compressive stress is considerably very much high at the depth of 2s when compared to the total area covered due to the dual wheel loads. Therefore the total stress due to the dual wheel load to the depth greater than 2s, or what happen, or the equivalent single wheel is considered equivalent to what magnitude 2p only. So to simplify this, what the determination of stress with the dual wheel load at any desired depth, or to carry out the pavement design, the equivalent value is often made use of. So therefore the equivalent single wheel load is usually determined by equivalent stress criteria using what, a simple graphical method. Here the equivalent single wheels varies depend upon the total pavement thickness, which is yet to be designed. It not yet designed. So therefore the determination of equivalent single wheel requires a trial and error method, and simple graphical method is very much useful. This whatever useful tool. In the simple graphical method, the straight line relationship is assumed between the equivalent single wheel load and the depth on a both log scale. Clear? So here we have the 2 points A and B are plotted on a log graph, which coordinates A begins with what, P comma d by 2. P is nothing but single valued magnitude, d by 2 is nothing but the whatever the first depth when the load start acting independent, and until that point it acts as independent wheel loads, and B is nothing but is given by the coordinates 2p and 2s. Then straight line considering to be locus of the points where the single wheel load is equivalent to the certain set of dual wheels, in order to design the different pavement thickness due to the dual wheel load assembly by the simplified this approach. So here what you do, we join this both the locus. Now for any different depth, if I want to have that for 150 mm depth, so what I do, I draw the graph here. I draw the point which intersect this whatever the line, and see that what at equivalent wheel load it's going to be more effective, which act as a equivalent single wheel load. For any depth within this locus range, both the locus range, at any depth I can easily find the what will be my equivalent single wheel load for any point. Clear? I try to explain it once again. See here, this whatever the picture I expanded, that is nothing but the rear wheel rear wheel assembly of the truck or any wheel, dual wheel load what you call. Okay, each when the load comes, obviously it's going to be come from the both the wheels, it having some magnitude P and P. Okay, which is obviously the tires are not going to be attached now. There is some spacing between the two wheels. Inner spacing is what D, center to center spacing is S. Okay, and up to the, and whatever the loading is, dispersion is going to happen at the here at the contact point. Obviously load will be more. As the depth increases, what happens, this load start distributing. So here it is something 40 kilonewton. At the moment it reaches some to here, it might be 20 or even lesser than that. As the depth increases, whatever the load is going to be distributed. So here what he explains that the load whatever that distributes, it distributes in a truncated form. Clear? Up to the depth d by 2, what happened? It act, both the wheel loads they act independently. After d by 2, they start what? Merging with each other, whatever the load. So up to 2s, they're going to act like what? Merging the, so here up to what 2s, what? The overlapped area of the compressed strength is considerably very much high compared to the total area covered due to the dual wheel loads. Clear? And here the S whatever it is found by the using formula S is equal to D plus 2A. A is nothing but each wheel how much the area it has given imprint sorry. And to understand, to easily know the for what depth what the equivalent single wheel load, we can plot the graph. The graph is between equivalent single wheel load against depth, and both are in log scale. So the first locus point is given by P by D by 2, and second locus point is given by 2P and 2S, and you are going to join this locus. For any depth, you are going to find the equivalent single load on a y-axis. Okay, this is the end of the model 3. Thank you for your patience.